Hello, everyone. This is Nicole Doss. That's right, the CEO and founder of the Prestige Society and the creator of Pink Radio with Prestige. You know, being that I am an extremely busy mompreneur, I really find it helpful when I'm able to do things like multitasking, such as recording some of my podcast while doing things like, picking up my oldest daughter from her basketball game. So unfortunately, this is not going to be a well-produced podcast where you hear absolutely nothing in the background. But because we are divapreneurs who are interested in substantial and really relevant content, hopefully the message will overcome or supersede the noise of my engine rooming in the background. So let's get on with it. Today we're going to talk about biases. So as of today, I just completed my second course in my specification studies with Wharton University around entrepreneurship. And one of the classes that we took in this particular module was all around biases. And I thought it was extremely awesome that they spent the time to talk about biases and how it impacts your brand. So here's the deal. Now I'm also doing a panel discussion, very informal, intimate conversation with divapreneurs called Know Thyself. And it's part of our 3-part series of A Seat at the Table. So with this, I just feel like it's so awesome how everything is so intertwined and how everything is so connected to one another. Because the reason why we're doing the whole series on Know Thyself is because of the fact that we realize that sometimes as entrepreneurs, just as people in general, we are not aware of how others perceive us. And so therefore we operate in the world with this very blinded sense of self. And then as we operate in the world, things happen. So other things happen for us, to us, or by us. We then create these perceptions of how we view the world based on the very things that happen to us, for us, or by us. And then we tend to create this filter or this lens that then determines how we then operate. So let's put that into real talk, right? Because it sounds very, very pie in the sky, very conceptual. So let's just take it very, 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 very simple into, let's say, a single woman trying to find Mr. Right. So if you know that by your experiences, you have always found just Mr. Wrong, your perception may be that there's a shortage of good men. If you want to hear about that, please visit Trey Kearney either on Periscope or Facebook Live and hear all about how there is really no shortage of men. And what she's doing in that conversation is helping you to understand your perception. So let's talk about why someone may feel like there's a shortage of men. So good men. So maybe you may feel that there's a shortage of good men because all of your experiences have been that men will either cheat on you or they're not ready to commit. So therefore, there are these things that then happens that you experience. Based off of that, you then create a perception or a lens of what your reality is, and then you choose how to operate in that space. So maybe you continually settle for the wrong man because your perception is that there's no good men out there. Maybe you decide to start dating married men because you figure, well, since there's a shortage of good single men, I might as well date a man that gives me what I need, and even if he's taken. Or you may just decide to just be alone. But nonetheless, your decision of how you operate comes from what you have experienced. And what we don't realize, or what we fail to realize, is that a large part of what we are receiving as perceptions absolutely plays a big part in what we put out into the world. So maybe if the conversation that you're constantly having with a man may be that, you're down for anything, he may then treat you as such and not take you seriously. If your conversation, the words that you choose, the actions that you take, then portray someone who's desperate, then they may also not take you seriously, or maybe they just decide not to commit because they don't want to be tied to someone who may not be emotionally stable. But Even though we know that there are some just cases where some things are out of your control, 9 times out of 10, you have the ability to influence things that are happening around you. And people don't realize that. So what happens is they refuse to harness the power that they have in influencing their circumstances and instead take a victimized role where instead they just imagine everything's happening to them without taking into consideration what they are putting out into the universe. So let's bring this back to the world of entrepreneurship. Maybe you're saying to yourself, I'm not getting the clientele that I really want. I want that clientele that is interested in paying a certain amount for my services. Maybe you're thinking you're not getting your pitch to the right person because no one tends to really take your pitch seriously. While you're looking at how people are reacting to you, take a moment and think about the biases these individuals may have before you even stepped into the room, before you even entered the conversation, before you even took that seat at the table. Knowing that biases exist, period, will help you in understanding how you need to operate. Because what happens is that when these biases already exist, and then we enter into a situation, and then we already have a bias or a preconceived notion of what the outcome's going to be or what the relationship may be or what the circumstance may be. What tends to happen is that then we choose how we are going to show up. When these two things are not aligned, you will not be successful. So let's talk a little bit about the importance of self-awareness. Now, some of the things we're going to talk about, and I cannot wait to have this discussion when we have our event on December 17th, is going to be a lot around the Johari window. And one of the things that I think is dangerous in the world of being either an entrepreneur or even just being someone in corporate America trying to climb the corporate ladder is that there's certain blind spots that you may have. And those blind spots may be around not really knowing how others perceive you. That's crazy to me because you need to know what people think of your brand. You need to know whether or not they think it's something that is trustworthy, reliable, whether it's professional, or whether they think it's just a hot mess. And if they think it's just a hot mess, then that may be why they are not taking your brand seriously, why they are not buying from you. If they believe that it's something they want to be aligned with, then that's probably why you are experiencing success. So what do you think plays a part in how one may perceive your brand? One may perceive your brand based off the actions that you do. But how do you overcome that if somebody already has a bias about you before you even step into the room? You once again have the ability to overcome it. So there's a number of things you need to do in order to overcome those biases. So let's just get real for a moment. So I am a Black woman-owned business. And being that we're going to talk about biases, I believe that there's already a notion about being a woman-owned business, my ability to run a business as a woman, as well as being a Black-owned business. So there may be preconceived notions about the way that I handle things professionally, the way that I handle things whenever there's confrontation, where the way I may handle things financially. I mean, there's all types of things that come as a bias. Being a Black woman and business owner, the importance is understanding what those biases may be. And although I may not be able to be aware of every single bias someone may have, I am not naive in not knowing that there are biases that are linked to being a Black woman business owner. So being aware of those things, know thyself, right? So being aware of those things will help you because then you're able to figure out where are your strengths and where are your weaknesses. So being professional is just a strength of mine because I was really fortunate enough to have phenomenal mentors, informal mentors as well as formal mentors in corporate America who spent time, invested time in molding me so that I could climb the corporate ladder. So I learned things about how to build business relationships, the importance of business relationships, the importance of just having a professional brand when you are your brand yourself, the importance of effective and influential leadership. I've learned all of these things. But my weaknesses, finances, organization. What do? Get people who have those strengths and then help them, or not help them, they help me, but get them to help me with my brand and my business. So being that I am aware of my strengths and aware of my weaknesses and knowing where biases lay when it comes to those who are Black women-owned businesses, I'm able to arm myself with those around me who can help me in areas that may really help, or that may have others perceive my business as falling into that category of just being a poorly run Black-owned woman business. So if I know that those are my weaknesses, I focus on getting those that can help me with my weaknesses and then focus on my strengths and really go there. Your pitch is going to be what really helps you when you are standing in front of those, because those who have biases, they're going to want to know really, why are you different and why can you help? And if as you're talking to them in their mind, you are not quieting the noise that they have about their biases about you, you have to focus on the commonalities, focusing on connectors, focusing on commonalities and similarities to the person who you're speaking to, not always just being in sell mode, but being in relationship building mode will help you in overcoming your biases. So for those of you who are not aware of yourself, and for those of you who think that you do not have to really be aware of yourself, listen, it's very important that you know, and it's not just you thinking that you know what it is that you have to do, but it's about also knowing how others view you. Now, everyone who knows me knows that I always say if it's good enough for Fortune 500 companies, it really needs to be good for your brand. So in this case, what I want you to take into consideration is the fact that Fortune 500 companies, small businesses, they understand the importance of a person, especially a leader, who really focuses and really respects and honors their professional brand, their reputation of their brand. So when you say their name, what do you think of when you say that name? So being that those individuals understand the importance of that, they use tools like 360 surveys. And in those 360s, you're able to see how others perceive you, and then not only from a subordinate area, but also from a leadership area. So now think about how you can get that information. Think about how well you can do in really honing your skills. And then from there, I want you to be aware of your brand, how others think about you, and build that brand so that you can really build and grow as well. So with that, wonderful divapreneurs, I want to say, I hope that you spend some time getting to know thyself, thy brand, so that you're able to grow your brand to becoming that crave-worthy empire that you so fabulously deserve. This is Nicole Doss, once again, saying be blessed. Bye.